Hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is Christine Crowell, and it's been a long time. So I hope everyone is doing well. And this is Christine Crowell here, and thank you for registering for tonight's event. And I wanted to really talk to you about CQC. And this is in the group page, for example, and I know I haven't been on here for a while, and I really want to try and spread as much information as possible, for example. So let me ask you this simple question. Are you ready for an inspection with CQC? Because this is what tonight's video training is all about, so that you're able to really be in control and to really help you to pass your CQC inspection. Because either you'll pass your CQC inspection smoothly, or they may ask you to stop and withdraw because you haven't prepared. Now, I don't know how many people have gone through this. The Care Quality Commission, for example, in the UK, they can, if you are already registered, they can show up with 48 hours notice. And are you confident that your service will pass with flying colors? Or would you be in panic mode? Because really, we should be thinking that if CQC are coming, you should be thinking, yeah, bring it on, because I am ready. I know what I'm doing. I've studied. I've got everything in place in my establishment where I'm regulated to run a activity, for example. But if you're worried about what they're going to be looking for, how you can be compliant, and also how to fix the gaps before they really do become a problem for you. And this is for beginners, and it's also for those of you that's already registered with CQC and you're possibly worrying about your inspection either way, whether it's for beginners or for established. So today I'm going to be talking to you about what CQC inspectors, what they can actually, what they're looking for from you, and how you can confidently demonstrate the 5, safe, effective, caring, responsive, well-led, for example. And this is a live walkthrough, so please do grab yourself a pen, paper, for example, and I hope you can hear me okay. Okay, and I just want to go through some of the common mistakes that really trip people up when even the experienced of providers can experience this as well. Now, CQC have been talking about that, they're noticing that people are just grabbing policies and they're not really reading through things, and they're expecting to just pass just because they've got policies in their hands. They're a lot tougher than that now. Not now, they always have been quite tough. It's not about the policies, it's about, do you understand those policies that you have and able to talk in a way that shows confidence that you do understand your policies, and when you're being asked a question that they can actually know that you have read your policies and you understand the Health and Social Care Act, for example, 2014, for example. Now, let's look at this. It doesn't matter whether your inspection is scheduled or not, or whether it's overdue, or it's brand new, or it's a complete surprise. You need to really be able to do this to protect your registration, for example, and also if you are already registered with CQC and you've got clients, if you don't pass your inspection where it says needs that it's inadequate, for example, then you could end up losing clients through that rating, and you don't want that. So it's well worth spending at least, I would be spending 4 weeks revising minimum before I even put my inspection, my application in, because at the end of the day, as soon as you submit that application, they want you to be ready, because that's what you're saying, that you're ready. If you had a care home, you wouldn't submit your application for your care home if you're not ready to receive clients. And it's the same for when you're doing home care as well. So today, really, I want to talk to you about, are you ready for your CQC inspection? So let's go through this in step-by-step mode, for example. So welcome everyone, I'm Christine Crowell here, and tonight we are doing something that every care provider needs, and you need to make sure that you are CQC prepared. This is about CQC inspection, the care quality inspection preparation. Whether you're running a domiciliary care agency or supported living or a care home, it is critical for you as the provider, and some of you may be the registered provider and the registered manager, the dual positions. So you definitely need to be aware of both. But you've got to be prepared. You've got to understand what it is that you're wanting to be regulated for. And you've got to understand it's like taking a test. It's like, we go to university, for example, and we do our homework, we do our exams, for example, we do quick tests and things like that. Well, this is the same for when you're getting regulated. You need to prepare in the same way, very similar way, for example. So you want to ensure that you are ready, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are currently at the moment. Would you give yourself a 10 that you're ready, or would you give yourself a 3 or a 4? What do you think? So tonight's session, I'm going to be showing you how to go from, because it can be overwhelming when you're going through registration with CQC. Your heart is racing, you're nervous, you're anxious, especially when you know that you're ready for inspection. So the best thing is to try and calm yourself. And I know it's easy for me to say that, but the more that you practice and the more that you read your policies and procedures, the more calmer you're going to feel. Because if you don't read them enough, and I don't mean reading it as a one-off and thinking, that's it, I've read it. You got to read it like it's a book. And then you read it again until you have your inspection, because that will calm your nerves. It will stop that feeling of great anxiety, for example. Although you will be frightened slightly, but if you've done your revision and you've studied and you've even done some little test on each sections, for example, then there's no reason why you shouldn't feel confident. And the Care Quality Commission inspectors will recognize that, and they'll see that in you, that you have done your revision and that you are ready for this. So let's break this down. Okay, so imagine an inspector is in front of you. You're doing an online meeting, for example, or it could be at your premises. So They'll be looking for things like safety. Are people protected from harm? Your documentation, are your systems clear and up to date? And also, are they being followed? What leadership do you have within your organization? Does your service reflect good governance? They'll be looking at things like rotas, your staff files. They have to really be intact. The rotas have to show the time difference from one client to the next, travel time as well. What are your rates, for example? So they'll be looking at things like Mars sheet, for example, any incident reports, training logs, your risk assessment, care plans, especially around outcomes as well. So this is how you get yourself ready and organized. And if you don't do this at the very beginning, they will spot this and it will cause red flags for them looking at you saying that this provider isn't ready. So let's go through the 5 environments, the inspection pillars, for example. So safe, are staff DBS checked? Yes, of course they are, for example. Medication, if you're in a care home, for example, or supported living, are they stored and, logged correctly? Same with when you're doing home care, for example, are you logging when whatever the care plan is, making sure that you're following the safeguarding summary. What training, what incidents are being reported, for example, and have you followed up? So effective is, do staff receive training and apply this to your organization?